With the delay until FM25, there are a few things that you can do to your Football Manager game to try and make it feel new and reinvigorate some life when you play it. Now, we've spoke before about updated databases and transfers, but one thing that I think personally really helps FM just completely transform into a new experience is the skin that you use. Now, we've looked at some of the best skins already here on the channel, but today we're going to focus on some of the best light skins that you can get in Football Manager. And if you don't know, this will completely change the way that your Football Manager skin looks, and it really will breathe fresh life into your Football Manager experience. We've got plenty of choices today, all with their own unique elements and parts that make them great. So let's get in to skin number one. Up first is the NY light skin created by Olas Nick, and straight away you'll see the kind of things that you're going to get with light skins. We'll break it down in a second, but you can tell it is bright. It's completely different to the normal dark look that Football Manager has. But before we go into any more detail, for those wondering if you want to know how to download these skins, the links to all four that I'm going to show today in order will be in the description. Head on over there, there'll be a written guide on how to install it, but it's very simple. Just hit a download button, put it in the right folder, head into FM, and you'll see it there as an option when it comes to skinning. But back to the skin, and straight away you can see the club profile does look different. Now, this might not be your cup of tea, it very well might be, but I would always say give a light skin a try in Football Manager, and I think you really will feel the difference. Whether you like it or not, it's completely up to you, but I do think it can really change the way that the game feels. If we have a look at some of the player profiles too, you can see it looks great. Now, this is my favorite part of this skin, this player profile screen. Plenty of information all in one place, the biography, the attribute analysis graph, which I always love to see, and I think a lot of skins hide this, and it's something that I think really helps when judging a player. Obviously, the attribute colors are slightly changed. You've got a light green for something that isn't good, a medium shade of green for anything that's a decent attribute, and then anything that would normally be your dark greens are still dark greens. So for example, Sam Morsey's tackling here, his aggression is dark green. You've got their pros and cons from their coach report all visible here. You've got their playing time and their playing time pathway. But that isn't the only thing that's changed on this skin. As with all skins, most of these screens are going to look different to what you're used to. The tactics screen, for example, as we show the best 11 with my Ipswich team, which by the way, if you want to check that out, that'll be a rebuild on my channel linked in the description. But yes, it's very colourful the way this team is displayed. You've got their last 5 games, their average ratings there. I do actually like the colour scheme of it quite a lot, actually. Breaking up the defensive midfielders, the defender, all by colour scheme. Same for the attacking players. If you want to adjust your tactic, you have to click into these little screens here, and then it spreads out across the screen instead of covering up the tactic as you're trying to do it. So you know what? I'm a big fan of the way this looks. The scouting screen as well does look different. I'm maybe not fully keen on the green, yellow, red that you can see here, but you guys might like it. I maybe have different colours myself, but either way, I'm not the guy that makes the skin. The skins have been made by some brilliant creators out there who have allowed us to showcase it by putting it on the FMSCOUT website. But you can see things look different here also. If we click on Cameron Brannigan, you get that nice player profile, you get that eligibility, what club they were trained at. All of these things you'd normally have to dig into a few different screens to find out, so it's great. Some screens like the finances, the club vision are just the same screen but with some colours inverted to be a light version, and I also think it looks very nice in the data hub as well. It definitely looks better than the standard Football Manager skin, which I think is the worst out there, but I personally often use the Tato skin, and I actually think this skin's data hub looks a lot better than that. I just like the colour scheme of it. It looks more appealing. Feel like I could get some good information out of this, so this is a brilliant skin to start with, but it's only one of 4 that I'm going to show you today. This next skin you're about to see is called Light 24, and it's been created by Alex Puck 2002. Now, he puts in his article that he basically makes this skin for himself every year, but this year decided to release it for everyone, and what it does is it combines a lot of the different screens that he likes from skins that he's used. He does list on his article all the skins that inspired it, but the likes of TCS, the Just skin, the Tato skin as well. He's basically picked and choose the parts that he likes from all of them skins, brought it together into this one, and then converted it into a light format for us all to enjoy. And straight away you can see just how wildly different some skins can be. This is the club info screen for this Ipswich Town save, the exact same one, but you'll see it looks a little bit different. We get some information about facilities based on star ratings. You also get their finances at a glance, their estimated value, all of that information there, the key players, the hot prospects, all listed. Even the league table, the current league table, is also shown. It's not like we've got too much info here. I feel like we've got just about the right amount, but we looked at Sam Morsey earlier on the old skin, so let's see how the player profile looks on this one, and I've got to say, I do actually really like this. Now, it's not completely filled with everything you could possibly want. Like I say, the attribute analysis graph graph is something that I tend to prefer, but I do really like the way you've got the player image on the left and then you've got all of his attributes listed here, and I think this makes it a little bit easier than the last skin to really differentiate what's a good attribute and a bad attribute at a very quick glance. Obviously red is going to be bad. If it's grey, it's not necessarily the best attribute. Light green for those ones that are decent, and then the really good attributes are dark green. You've got his player positioning on the pitch that we can see here, all of his best roles listed out, his left foot and right foot also shown to us, even his career milestones in the bottom right. Now you could change this if you want to be the biography or even the attribute analysis graph should you want it, so you can customize these things to your own liking, but either way I think we're off to a very good start here. I do like this as well actually, without having to go into a different screen. With a simple click you can bring up all of the information that you'd like to know on a player, whereas normally you'd have to go into history and then say injuries to get his medical report, but in this skin's case you can just click medical report and you get all the information there in the same way, so it saves you a few clicks, brings it all into one place, and I definitely like that. A lot of the other screens tend to be the standard screens that you'd expect, just in a light format, like the scouting screen, nothing too crazy. It's just been put in this bright format as opposed to the normal dark one you would get with most FM skins. The inbox works in a similar way, but let's check out the tactics screen, where I would say I'm probably not a fan as much of a tactics screen on this one as on the last one, but of course you guys are going to have your own preference. I just think the almost cream and blue colours that you've got here maybe don't blend too well. It's still nice, I think it looks better than the standard FM skin, and I do like the texture it's kind of got on the pitch here, but I will say personally I don't think it's as nice as the last one we looked at in terms of the colour scheme, but maybe you guys will prefer it the other way. But again, if you want to adjust a tactic, you can do it all within the screen whilst looking at your tactic, as opposed to normal FM where you click one of these things and it covers up your whole tactic screen, which is always a little bit annoying. But considering the creator of this skin says he makes it for himself, I'm very glad he's released it, because this will be a great option for many of you guys to use. But this next one is probably the most out there of all of the skins we're going to look at today, because it does things slightly differently. This is the Mustermann light skin. Now this skin is pretty unique in multiple ways. The first one being that it opts for a scrolling system as opposed to having everything on a screen at once. Most of this skin is based around the idea of scrolling down and being able to find the information that way in an attempt to not really overload you. But if you don't know about Mustermann, he is very much a fan of Moneyball and attributeless skins. So what that means is when you look at a player, you don't actually get a clear idea of exactly how good they are at everything. Much like real life, you have to use stats and just a rough idea of how good a player is at a certain aspect of the game to figure out how good they are. Now, just a shout out to Mustermann. He's got a great YouTube channel as well with some brilliant videos over there. I'll link that below for you. But this skin that he's made, I think, is one of the best game-changing skins out there. And I say game-changing because it really does change the way that you have to play the game. No longer can I see Sam Morsey's 16 tackling or 16 aggression. Instead, I get a rough idea of how good he is at certain things. For example, tackling is highlighted as one of his better attributes, where flair, being a small circle, is obviously not going to be as high. But again, you probably wouldn't even look at that. Really, you'd be looking at his statistics in game to make note of whether he'd be a good option. If you're looking to play Moneyball, this is going to be the skin that you want to use. There is also a dark option for this skin out there if you prefer that and don't really like the light version, but I've always been a fan of Mustermann skins. Whenever I look at it, I do think this would be really good for one of my own saves, and then I think, hold on, am I brave enough to take the jump and play like this? If you are, then wow, fair play to you. Just looking at Leif Davis as an example as well, for certain players who are very much specialists in certain aspects of the game, you get almost these play style similarities where you can see two of these are highlighted, and if we hover over them, he is apparently a progressor, and these are things that Mustermann's came up with himself, and an overlapping fullback. And if you look, he maybe isn't a quarterback midfielder, but he has got two of these almost traits, if you want to call them that he plays his game like. There's Fox in the box, and there's also like the Maestro who creates chances for other people. But straight away we look at Leif Davis here and we go, oh right, he's got some great progressive passes, that means he's a good player. But if you were out there maybe looking for a replacement midfielder, for example, Joe Aribo, you pull up his stats and you go, okay, he takes a lot of shots, that's useful, but maybe you don't like how many dribbles he completes, how many progressive passes he completes. All of this stuff is what you're going to investigate. Again, the player profile screens opt for that scrolling action as opposed to everything in your face at once. So if you prefer it that way, this is definitely the skin for you. Moneyball completely changes the way you play your game. This is what the tactics screen looks like on the light version. Again, if you want to use it, there is also a dark version of this skin, but this is the Mustermann skin. If you want to play Moneyball, if you want an attributeless challenge, this is the one to use, either the dark or light version, and it can really make saves fun. So if you haven't yet tried a Moneyball save, maybe now between this time and FM25 will be a good time to give it a go. Now, if you think all of those other skins are maybe doing a little bit too much for you personally, and you prefer the more simple skins that you've seen basically in your standard Football Manager, then this is going to be the one for you. This is the Angun light skin, and what this tries to do is to replicate what the actual light skin the game used to provide looks like. That's right, a light skin used to be a given option in Football Manager, but now it has to be created. So this Angun skin is fantastic at doing that. You can see it is pretty much the skin that you'll be used to on standard FM before you have skinned your game, just a light version. So if that's something that would appeal to you, I definitely think give it a go. If you're someone that's still on the standard FM skin, try this. It's not a crazy change, but it is still a nice enough change that will feel pretty different to you when you play. If we look at Sam Morsey again, you can see it's very bright, but you have got all the information that you could want just in this light format. If you go to the tactics screen, again, a similar story. It's the tactics screen you're used to, but it really does bring back the nostalgia of how the game used to look when you got that light skin. Here's the inbox, the squad screen. As you can see, nothing crazy going on. It's not completely changing the world. If you think, oh, it's just a skin, it won't make a difference, try it out, and I imagine within a few weeks you won't ever want to go back to the standard FM skin. It really can just bring the game onto another level, make this time spent in the menus feel much better than it does normally. And these are 4 of the best light skins out there, which you can find all linked in the description. Let me know in the comments which ones you're going to use. Don't forget to like the video if you did enjoy, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.